Hey, what is up, coffee peeps? This is Phil with FightingSpiritCoffee.com. And once again, I'm at publishing videos I recorded in the past and just never got around to posting for various reasons. This one is about what is extraction and TDS, or total dissolved solids. Understanding extraction, it'll make you a better coffee brewer at home, a better barista, better shop owner, whatever the case may be. Extraction is kind of the essence of coffee. It's why we roast, it's why we brew, it's how we serve a good cup. So extraction is everything. So enjoy this video and keep it classy. Take care. And what I'm going to talk about is actually extremely simple. It's not going to take me long to talk about. However, it is something that people make way more complicated than it needs to be. I'm going to answer the question, what is extraction? This is a phrase and a word that gets batted around a lot. People will talk about, what's the extraction level? My extraction was too high. The extraction was too low. What's the TDS? All these things. This is what extraction is. You take clean water, you take a kettle, pour it through coffee grounds, you end up with a brewed cup of coffee. Literally, that is all extraction is. So what it boils down to when it comes to brewing coffee is how you extract, how much you extract. Those types of questions are actually what people are referring to when they talk about extraction levels. So to understand extraction, you have to kind of take a trip back in history. In 1952, Professor Earl Lockhart with the Coffee Brewing Institute conducted some research, and he was trying to find the optimal taste preference for coffee. What he found out is that if anywhere from 18 to 22% of the coffee bean was dissolved into the beverage, then for the most part, people like that. Now, coffee has the potential to have about 28, upwards of 30% of the coffee matter dissolved into the water. So what brew methods do, what barista do when you brew coffee at home, what you're doing is actually taming that. You're controlling how much of the potential coffee matter ends up in the beverage. That's all the differences between coffee brew methods, metal filters, paper filters, all these things. All you're doing is controlling that 18 to 22% range that is ending up in the cup. Now, if I were to just talk about that aspect of it without mentioning TDS, then I'd be doing you an injustice. So TDS, it is a scientific measurement that stands for total dissolved solids. So what TDS measures is the actual components, the coffee matter, the coffee stuff that is in this cup right here. Sort of the range that we're going for, like that TDS percentage that we're going for, is about 1.35%. In general, that's about where coffee tastes good. There's a margin of error with that. So what 1.35% denotes is that 1.35% of the stuff in this coffee is actual coffee matter. It is coffee solids. It's things like cell walls and coffee particles, things like that. The other 98.65% is going to be water. So when somebody talks about a total dissolved solid or a TDS or a TDS percentage, all they're referring to is how much of coffee matter is actually in the cup itself. Now, TDS, it's more or less a derivative of that 18 to 22%. So kind of on a chart, the two work together. So you're controlling the amount of coffee matter that's ending up in the beverage, and then you're controlling the dilution or the concentration of the coffee in the actual cup. So honestly, that's all extraction is. There's some kind of like fancy ways to go about measuring it and explaining it and so forth. But when somebody talks about an extraction being too high, typically what they're saying is that their concentration in the cup is greater than 1.35%. When they're saying my extraction level was low, sort of what that denotes is that the concentration level is below 1.35%. For concentrations that are higher, where you start getting more of, say, like on that 22 to 23% coffee matter dissolved in the beverage kind of spectrum, when you get in that range, you're going to get really kind of like muddied and bitter and chalky sort of flavors in the cup. If you're below that like TDS, like say in the 1.1 to 1.15% TDS, that means about 16 or 17% of the coffee ended up in the actual cup. And then the flavor on that is going to be washed out. It's going to be diluted. It's going to be a little bit sour and just kind of boring in general. So that's all extraction is. Hopefully some of that made sense. If you guys have questions, definitely reach out to us and I'd be happy to answer what I can on that and clarify what I can. But extraction, it's the process of making coffee. How cool is that? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace. Take care.